Okay, well, let's talk for a little bit about one of my favorite things, if I can get this title to show up, branding. So we've helped plumbing companies with their brand, and we really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. But I think it goes beyond just making yourself look cool. And I kind of want to explain it because so many of the people that we deal with are just focused on lead generation. And lead generation is good. Like, you need lead generation, but it's not the be all end all. And it absolutely should not be the end game of your marketing, because lead generation, the minute that the market goes softer, the minute somebody else jumps into the market, like it gets really expensive, you're basically dealing with rented land. You can't control it very well. And that's a frustrating thing. So the thing about branding is it increases, like good branding, increases the awareness and the recall of your company, right? So for us, we got this little like mammoth like guy, right? And we got a lot of orange going on. That is part of our branding. We got this other thing over here, this symbol. Like, we've got a lot of things going on that sort of just create these landmarks. So that way, if somebody subscribes to my YouTube channel, which absolutely you should do, or subscribes to see some of my social media, even if you're just flicking through real quick, you're at least going to get a little bit of an impression. And so that's why I settled on orange and vibrance, because you associate it with road construction, but it works. It works for what I want. I want people to go, oh God, that's vibrant and orange. So what is it? And then they can associate it with me if they're familiar with my brand, right? So like, it's really about standing out from the crowd when it comes to branding. And it's not just with sort of the look and the feel, and we'll get into that. But I do think that you absolutely, this is supposed to say make it stand out. So I absolutely do think that you want to make sure that your branding stands out. You want to make sure that it stands apart from everybody else in the market. So take a good look at your market. Look at all their logos, look at their websites, look at what they're doing, and you will see why you need an artist on your side to help elevate whatever it is that you're doing. Because a lot of times companies will end up slapping the first thing they think of on their van, and then they look like anyone else. And so I'll give you a little story. And of course, this is the one I always go to because I have full disclosure on being able to disclose. But Prospector Plumbing used to be called J-Rod's Plumbing, and it was just tied to the owner. The owner happens to be my brother. And he came to me and he was like, hey, I need you to do my marketing. Can you do it for me? And I said, yes, if you do exactly what I say. And what I told him to do is get away from reds and blues. He had previously tried to go out on his own with another company, and all they did was grab a water drop, some pipe, some red, some blue, stuck it, about this big on their van, on their regular utility size van. And it blended in with everybody else. There was nothing substantial about that at all. And so when he finally decided to go out on his own and he had full control, I said, listen, what you did last time didn't work. What you need to do is you need to be able to stand out from the crowd. So let's think of non-traditional ways to go about that. And so we ultimately landed on sports team colors. So it ended up being purple and green. They're complementary. And I think it was the Sonics or the Lakers that had that in their logo. And I was like, that's a pretty good one. I'd also seen it in like the gaming space quite a bit, but it was atypical of a plumbing company, right? It was not something that people were used to seeing in his market at all. And so we leaned into it, and then he became Prospector Plumbing and Heating. And so with that, we added a different avatar. We got away from like this grungy guy with like long hair and a big beard, which was absolutely a drawing of my brother at the time. He's cleaned up since. And we got like a friendly prospector. And that's because your brand is your herald. It goes out ahead of you, because people are going to see and interact with your brand before they ever contact you. So they have no idea how good your service is. And so you have to tell them, like, hey, we're special in some way. And this is what good branding can do. So now when people see his vans on the road, and you can go to my website, Mammoth for Plumbers, like we've got a video there and you can kind of see what everything looks like. But he's got this big old avatar prospector guy with a pickaxe, and then he's got the greens and the blues and like this halftone texture and light rays and all this stuff that adds to, sure, it's busy, but it's also extremely memorable and it stands out from everything else. Now, another company in town that I will say that has done really good with their branding is they've taken a completely opposite approach. What they've done is they've gone more elegant, high-end, classy, almost regal in the way that they operate. And that comes with this air of affluence and quality and respect. And so both have their place. And it depends on what kind of business you really want to be. And that becomes so much about the owner, the people involved, the culture of the place, and every business is going to be a little bit different. But if you really lean into those things, what you end up doing is you end up looking remarkable. And so many businesses are just not remarkable in any way, shape, or form. They don't even try because they're afraid of doing something atypical. And that fear is what keeps them lumped in with every other company in the market. If you really want to stand out, you need to cultivate a brand and create it through design, through colors, through interactions with your customers, with your community. But on top of that, it's not enough to run a lead generation campaign and hope you get all that low-hanging fruit of people who woke up that day and they have a plumbing problem. What you need to do is you need to be pushing yourself out there via ads, but put some budget towards brand awareness, because then you will not be as reactive to what happens in the market because you're doing the legwork to be the market. So a good example of this is we had a client who was not doing any brand awareness advertising at all, and he had a great brand and he just didn't want to do it. And so he would rely on LSA ads as well as Google ads. Okay. And something happened in his market. He was getting leads for like $30, sometimes less, but something happened. So it was a small town, small market, and somebody else decided to be competitive. And in his market, we have a feeling it was a larger construction company that wanted more to get into the residential space because it seemed like they were funneling money into it that other plumbing companies just couldn't do yet. So what ended up happening is instead of paying whatever the going rate was for an impression, you're paying per lead, and leads are always going to be more expensive. So when somebody else enters the market and you're going head to head, Google in all their infinite wisdom goes, oh, would you like to be up here? And you say yes. And so you go up here. And then you end up with this stair stepper of whoever else is in the market until somebody drops out. And then both parties are too afraid to lower their budget because they don't want to hurt their phones, right? They don't want to take out that flow. But that flow is just the people who needed you that day. If you really want to get ahead of it, you need to push yourself out there with brand awareness so that way people don't Google plumber. They Google you. And when they Google you, you don't have to compete with all that other crap out there. You get to own it. And especially if you serve the same areas, you can really build it up. So one thing we like to do is we like to run brand awareness campaigns to the neighborhoods that you serve, to your service area. And if you have a smaller budget, we just target it in. So you're still running your lead generation, but then we're also going, all right, we're going to build up this community's awareness of who we are. And then you spend some time there. Spend some time there, and the more people see your vans there, the more people see your ads, the more people see you involved in like the community baseball field around there and things like that. Like it builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you don't need to compete in the same way, and it's absolutely powerful. So build a solid brand, but then utilize it. Utilize it by creating a campaign that showcases it as a beacon of what you stand for as a company. Your competitors cannot match that if you do it good. And I will tell you, in almost any market, there's room for multiple brands to do this. But what there's not room for is multiple lead generation campaigns in one market. Eventually, you get priced out, whether it's per phone call, like with just regular Google ads, or if it's your LSA, right? It all depends on the competition. And granted, a brand awareness campaign is the same thing. You will have, oh, I'm going for this market's more valuable, so therefore it's going to cost me a little bit more. If it's like Facebook ads or TikTok or Google Display, anything like that. YouTube is actually another one that we really like. But so it can be expensive, but it's not good. You're not going to see this crazy ebb and flow that you see with Google ads. So, or search ads more specifically. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to talk more about any of this stuff, by all means, go to our website, mammothforplumbers.com, and I'd be happy to sit down, talk with you about sort of your company goals, where you want to go, whether or not you have a good brand, all that stuff. Because I like to talk shop, and I have fun helping plumbers be able to build the company that they really want to build. Sitting down and actually talking about it with people one-on-one is one of my favorite things to do, even if you don't end up buying any of our services. At least you have sort of like a path, or at least some thoughts about what your business could be when it grows up. So I hope this was interesting. I feel like I rambled, but this is kind of like my venting session. So you have a good one. Thanks.